Well, I wanted to thank you for taking time to speak with me today.
Thank
Well,
you
thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
It's an honor to be here.
You've created an absolute amazing album from top to bottom. How long did it take to put this album together?
Well, it took several years actually. I think we started the writing process back in I think around 2020 or 2021, and I had sort of the idea of the concept, right? And then we started working on the actual songs and the lyrics and whatnot, and then we began recordings. I think in 2022, I think we started demo recordings. So it took roughly 4 years to get the whole album together. So quite a long time.
And it's definitely time well spent, my friends.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I wanted to ask you, this album has many, many layers to it, but one song that truly sticks out to me is the title track. I wanted to ask if you could speak on this track.
Yeah, so the title track is sort of the magnus opus, I think, of the album. We from the get-go we had this grand idea to finish the record with an epic, a song that would sort of summarize, I think, the whole album. So we wanted the song to have many different layers and many different parts, and that's why it's so long, I think. But I think we wanted the song to have many different callbacks to other songs, like melodies and
Sure.
um. So that was sort of the grand idea. And in terms of the themes, I think we wanted to close the album on sort of like a not a definitive ending, so the listeners could sort of get their own interpretation of what happens. Obviously, you have some cues, right, with the
Sure.
main protagonist being still missing and things like that, but we still wanted it to end in an open way. Yeah.
And with this epic story, I wanted to ask you, how long did it take to create this whole plot and story behind it?
Well, from the beginning, I was actually inspired by an old colleague of mine who had he's often spoke about paranormal experiences, about demons and things like that. So I got very inspired, and I started thinking of a concept back in I think 2019, 2020, and then I just started writing in a Word document different ideas and sort of like a novel, right, on how the album could be structured with the different songs and um, titles and lyrics and things like that. But I think it took roughly didn't take that long actually because I was so inspired. So a few months maybe, a few months. But I think the difficult thing is to transfer that concept and divide it into songs.
Sure.
Uh, how the songs could sort of deal with these themes and topics. That's the difficult thing, I think.
And the album's out and it's well received. I wanted to ask you if you could take me back to the beginning and tell me how the band became a reality.
Yeah, maybe Ule, you can talk about a bit more about the our origins.
Yeah, well, me and Philip are actually brothers, and Philip and Alex had a band like what 10 years ago, I think.
Yep.
And then you talked about having some keyboards as well, and we started to jam a bit, wrote a couple songs, and then the bassist came along, and then the singer Johannes, who is on the album, came along, and we wrote the album, and we had some problems with the old singer, and now Michaela is here as the new vocalist. So that's the short history of the band, I guess.
And I wanted to ask you if you could speak on the album artwork and the artist that was involved in it.
Yeah. Um, the artwork was made by a Swedish artist called Wilhelm Thoresson. And I can't really remember what inspired us. Maybe someone else remembers.
I think the original idea with the smoke and mirrors cover was sort of to symbolize the duality, right? Because the man is sort of ripping off his face, right? And he holds on to another face. His old face is still sort of stuck there, right? So I think it symbolizes, I think, the duality. And I think in terms of the grand themes, I think the whole record um, symbolizes some sort of duality of the darker side of humanity, maybe,
Mm.
because you can, if you listen to the last track in particular, you can actually catch that feeling of that the darker side of humanity. And when you're reading about this man in the songs, he's transported to another place, right, another world, and you could sort of interpret that as um, all the wrongdoings made by man, sort of personify it, basically,
Sure.
right?
I wanted to ask
Like
each
that.
of you as well. This band has such a unique sound and a style of its own. I wanted to ask you, each of you, what are your influences musically? Alex.
Well, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, Alex, if you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love the 80s music, like the 80s rock bands.
Hmm.
Like my favorite band of all time is Europe, but also Toto, which were also kind of sneak proggers for some time. So I really like them. But of course, we have Dream Theater also. That's been like a huge inspiration also musically. So yeah, I like it a lot.
I
And
think we
Ollie,
have,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, Ola, perhaps you can
Oh yeah.
mention one of your influences.
Well, I started really young listening to bands like In Flames and Iron Maiden, and then I got into a bit heavier music, I guess, deathcore and death metal. So I love bands like Chelsea Grin, Whitechapel, and also melodic death metal bands. So I think my false chord vocals, my growls comes from those bands. And I also really like bands like Dream Theater and Pain of Salvation and prog bands like that. But I guess I'm into like more of the heavier styles, which I think I bring into the band more than
Absolutely.
the other, I think.
I think it's interesting because all of us, we have different influences. I think, and I think that reflects on the music that we produce because we have very heavy music, and I think that mainly comes from your influences, Ola, with the deathcore and death metal bands. And we
Yeah,
also
I
have
think
this
so, yeah.
very, yeah, we also have this very melodic side, right?
Mhm.
Because my all-time favorite band is Iron Maiden. I grew up with Iron Maiden, and I think my main influences when I write is probably Iron Maiden, and that's why a lot of our music is so melodic, I think. So we have this melodic side, and we also have this heavy side, and we try to combine them um, as often as we can, basically.
And Newbie, what are
Yeah.
your influences?
Well, I grew up with 80s rock, like overall, and listening to that, I also started meddling a little bit with opera, just because the best singers in the world uses opera. So everything from my greatest inspirations are Freddie Mercury, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion. I think they're great. So I'm listening to like everything and meshes it together to my own inspirations.
And now this album is out. What's the next step for you, my friends?
Well, our main
Uh,
goal right now is probably to go around and perform gigs as much as possible. We have a gig here in our hometown in Sweden in about a week. So we we try to we try to visit a lot of different places and play our music as best as we can. It's difficult because we're still sort of like a small local band, but we try to spread our connections wide so we can come in contact with different clubs and places to play in. So that's the next step. And then obviously we want to record new material with Michaela as well. We have a few songs in the pipeline already that we are working
great.
with. Yeah.
And along your journey as a band, what has been the best advice you feel that has been given to the band?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, that's a hard one. I don't know really. Like just do not stop. I think keep going.
I think
Yeah.
we've had a lot of difficult times as well during our sort of history of the band. And I think the most important thing that we've learned is to stay persistent, I think. Because we've had periods when nothing really happened. We didn't rehearse for months. We didn't have any gigs. We sort of the progress with the album just was very slow and stale. And I think we all stood very persistent in that process. And I think we've emerged stronger in a way because now we have this newfound energy as well. I think that's the most important thing, to stay persistent and yeah. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
I
Oh, yeah.
agree,
Yeah.
because what you're doing is very unique and very true, and you can tell that it comes from the heart. And when something comes from the heart, people know it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what is the best way to get a copy of the album and any merchandise that you have?
Well, as of right now, we don't have physical copies of the album. We have plans to release vinyls in the future, but right now it's very expensive, and we sort of need to. I think we need to establish ourselves um, more before we can go to that next step. But we have merchandise in terms of t-shirts that we sell when we perform gigs. But we don't have any way as of right now to ship merchandise to other countries and things like that. But we have plans, and we often talk about how we can do that in the future. And I think that's one of our goals, to sort of um, establish ourselves more, so fans worldwide can purchase merchandise and vinyls and CDs. That's the next step.
And we spoke about you working on new material. Will the next album be a concept work?
Well, the next album will be a concept, but not as structured as this one. We have plans of doing sort of like a war concept based on Ernest Hemingway's Farewell to Arms, the book novel. We have plans on doing an album based off that, but a bit more loose in terms of the structure. And it's not going to follow the novel to a T, but it will be a lot of parts will be inspired by his novel. So that's the sort of concept.
And speaking of the new lineup, I wanted to ask you, how did you discover your new singer?
And perhaps Michaela can talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, the thing is that Philip and I work together in our normal jobs, and at the start of the summer last year, he asked me if I wanted to try out for a cover band or their cover band, and I was like, yeah, all right. A few weeks later, he asked, we have a few songs in our band. Could you rehearse those instead? And I was like, okay, I can try it. So I rehearsed them. I had like 1 week, I think, to get them ready. And I was there, did the 3 songs, and the band was like, okay, we did not expect this. And they asked me if I wanted to continue. So I learned more of their songs and the songs on the album that wasn't released yet. and we just started clicking and working together. So we've been working for like more than a half a year now.
Yeah.
And lastly, my friends, I wanted to ask you if you could give a message to your fans, what message would you give them?
I think first off, I want to thank all of you for the amazing response on our debut album. It's been heartwarming. It's been such an honor to have that kind of response when you release something. Because I don't think none of us expected this type of response from so many different fans. I don't know what else do you guys think?
Yeah, that's a great answer. And it's a hard question as well. But yeah, we're also grateful for everyone who listens to the album and shares and comments, and yeah, it's really great. Really
And I think
grateful.
the amazing thing about the album is something to give everyone. Whether you're into many different genres or styles, it appeals to many different voices and different feelings. And it's something that's definitely to be celebrated, and you guys should be very proud of the album that you created.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. It
Thank you.
truly means a lot.
Very much.
It means a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to thank each and every one of you for taking time to speak with me. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, my friends.
Likewise,
Thank
it's been an
you.
honor.
Thank you so
Likewise.
much for
An
having
honor.
us.
Truly. And thank you for
Thank you.
inviting us.
And please keep in touch with any new news as it comes about so we can talk about the upcoming album.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
We would love to.
We'd love to come back in the future as well.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, my friends, and you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, the
You
same.
too, my friend.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Great
Take
day.
care.
Bye.